Ladies and gentlemen, the XRP civil defense siren has been activated. Is this the beginning of a massive rally for XRP as we have discussed in our previous video? Or is this just another fake out for the 5 billion time where we just pump and dump? This is something we'll discuss in this emergency XRP video update. Alright, enough of that. Hope I didn't trigger any PTSD for war veterans out there. Now, before we get started, remember that this video is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. So please always do your own research. Now, let's take a closer look at Ripple's price action on the shorter time frame and also later in this video where we stand on the macro that continues from our last video. So please make sure to watch this video thoroughly so you can get an understanding of where my potential targets may be. Again, opinion targets. XRP is currently on a massive breakout from its lows, a good 40% bounce. Very nice. Just to quickly recap, we have also discussed this in our Discord group. We saw a very complex 5-wave structure to the downside, and we were able to identify the 5th wave being a possible ending expanding diagonal. Now, an ending expanding diagonal is a specific wave pattern that occurs in the final wave position of an impulse sequence. Remember, an impulse wave sequence or an impulse wave consists of 5 waves labeled as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you can see by the indicated orange parentheses in the numbers. So then within the 5th wave, you can have a variational pattern of what's known as an ending diagonal, and a leading diagonal is where it happens in wave 1. Each subwave divides into smaller 3 waves or ABCs instead of the typical 5-wave impulse structure. But the most important characteristic of this ending diagonal is where wave 3 within the ending diagonal is going to be typically longer than wave 1, and then you'll have your wave 5 longer than wave 3, which must be obeyed, by the way. And the psychology behind this is that it reflects a climax in this market sentiment and often accompanied by increasing volume and volatility, which is why we see overlaps within this specific pattern and suggests that the prevailing trend is losing momentum and a significant reversal or correction is imminent. So that was, in this case, a reversal was to be expected, and that is what we got. So what was the outcome? We got that 5th wave, and now we got that 40% bounce. We can sit here all day and say all we want about the accuracy, but in hindsight, we stick to what the Elliott Wave Theory has provided us for the tools, and we use them as best as we can. And in this case, it is possibly one successful case of a pattern confirmation. So in the last video, I've also discussed that we could be in potentially a macro wave count of either being in a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 idea, which we have here, or we could be potentially in a larger triangle, which is my preferred scenario. Either way, both are very bullish. So if you're interested in understanding these patterns and how I structured it, I discussed it in my previous video or my previous XRP video a few days ago, so please go watch that video. Now, what is important here is that I didn't discuss in my last video of potential targets, because although both scenarios show a massive upside potential, they show vastly different ranging targets. So I, for one, am a realist, and I try to learn from my past mistakes and not get blinded by either the bullish or bearish sentiment, meaning I try to spot accumulation in a calm manner and not get faded by those who hate this coin or any other coin that I'm looking at. And then I identify a possible breakout pattern and then capitalize on that based on my conservative targets. But what's crazy about XRP is that my conservative targets even show a possible 10x gain, possibly 20x gain, even on my preferred scenario of this triangle. And that is what the triangle scenario is presenting us. Now, what I love about triangles, no matter how low a probability they may be according to the eye of the trader, most don't try to capitalize on these patterns even when they do identify it. I think that could be a grave mistake because they work until they don't. Meaning that if you have all the possible subwaves created, in this case the A, B, C, D, E, it could give you a very good reward if it actually does come to fruition. And that's the key point. If it comes to fruition, it could be very rewarding. And as long as you work with invalidations, this could be a very nice structure to work with in the current time of recording. So in this case, we do have a possible triangle being in completion here, where our subwave E is now coming to a conclusion. This could mean that the triangle could also be playing out against this 1, 2, 1, 2 macro idea as another alternative possibility. So for this triangle idea, the targets are pretty easy to measure based on what's known as the post-thrust triangle measurement strategy. So when a triangle forms in the 4th wave position, the 5th wave often moves very swiftly, as termed by Elliott himself, who is the creator of this Elliott Wave Theory, covering a distance roughly equal to the widest part of the triangle. So as you can see here, we have this line here, which I have measured, and that is basically taking from the termination of wave 3 to the widest part of the triangle, which is this in this case, and then you take it to the assumed breakout point of what you like to see at the apex of the triangle. So that is what I'm currently seeing in terms of the target at a minimum of a $12 to $13 range. So Elliott referred to this rapid short motive wave following a triangle as the thrust. So this thrust is typically an impulse wave, but can also be an ending diagonal, like I mentioned earlier, about what kind of patterns could occur in the fifth wave of an impulse. So in strong markets, rather than a quick thrust, there can also be a prolonged fifth wave as well. We just simply do not know how a fifth wave will end. So therefore, a fifth wave following a triangle will often exceed the usual thrust distance of the widest part of the triangle, and you can use a line from the highest point of the opening to help measure the actual thrust measurement point. So another interesting note that he mentioned is that in commodities, and we can argue that Bitcoin is a commodity within the category of assets, and at that meaning, it means that at degrees above the intermediate, and in this case we have a primary degree in this yellow here, the advancing impulses following a triangle are typically the longest wave in the sequence, meaning that it can actually be even longer than the actual post-triangle thrust measurement. So we just simply do not know how this is going to be playing out. We could really technically end just right above this level here at the all-time high levels, because we've seen that happen all the time. Even with Bitcoin currently, we've hit all-time high, but we've reversed, and we've seen that with Litecoin, for example, it reached its all-time high and then completely reversed. So we just simply do not know. That's why we have to take conservative targets along the way. So this triangle idea and this 1212 idea is pretty much the same idea in terms of targets. In this idea, for example, for this 1-2 idea, this intermediate wave 3 has that same target for this triangle fifth wave of the primary degree, meaning that if this idea plays out for the 1-2-1-2 idea, this could be even more bullish if it continues, meaning that if it continues, then we're going to have to resort back to this more bullish idea, meaning that we may be working in a cycle wave 3, as I've discussed in my previous video, where this cycle wave 2 is now complete and we're working in the primary degree, and we're now working in this intermediate degree for the current time being, and then this wave 3-4 in the yellow will complete for the cycle wave 3-4-5 that can end up anywhere in the $40 to $50, $60, $70 range, even per XRP. Now, there's going to be a lot of haters saying that they're going to come up with the market cap idea saying that this is impossible, but really it doesn't really matter, because we've seen that same argument happen over and over. That was when it was a time where not many coins were able to be support for the coin ecosystem, meaning that there was a lot of coins now entering the markets at this current stage, and the coin market cap idea is just completely out of the picture for me personally. We've seen that with Filecoin. I've personally invested into Filecoin before, and we saw a very 20x gain on that in itself, where people thought it couldn't even go up 5x because of the whole idea behind that of coin market cap idea, that it couldn't support that idea of the technical analysis. So that is just one way we can see it. We've also seen this idea where maybe XRP could exceed that of the $2 trillion market cap. We just simply do not know, ladies and gentlemen. So take that with a grain of salt as well. Now, if we go back into the shorter time frame, this idea works with both this scenario and this scenario as well of the triangle idea. Now, we're working in this phase here and this phase here, as you can see, either as the WXY for this wave 1-2 intermediate degree, or this ABC of the final part of the triangle, because we want to be labeling this as a simple zigzag. So really, we can interchange it between those two, and I have labeled it here as simply put. We can see this as either a WXY in the yellow, as you can see. We have an ABC going into W, ABC going into an X, ABC going into that wave Y, because we're working in multiple zigzags for a complex corrective wave of a WXY. And then for this ABC, we're looking for a 5-wave move, which we also possibly could have. We can have this as an ABC. This can also be labeled as an ABC, but the most important thing is that this C wave is basically the same idea, where we're seeing a 5-wave motive impulse wave going into this move here as a bottoming structure. So in my opinion, I think that this is a pretty good contender for being a bottom. I'm not sure if this is the bottom. That's why I said in the very beginning of the video that is this just a pump and dump, we come back down. But for now, we could see this as a 3-wave structure, where we have this as the 3-wave structure, but really it's difficult to say. I like to see this as a 5-wave move rather, and this here, the volatility and the overlapping just makes me insist that this may be a possible ending expanding diagonal. Now, if we zoom in even further, it's a little bit more difficult to count, but I don't like to count the micro time frames. And if we look at this definitely has a wave 3 characteristic. So if we look at this, it could be a possible wave 5 wave move. And in terms of the strategy, if you have missed the pump, is to get back into the possible wave 1, 2 pullback of a higher degree. So if we finish this 5-wave move and the larger degree being complete of a wave 1, then we're going to be looking for an ABC structure or some kind of complex structure in the form of threes. We're going to be seeing how this wave 2 concludes. And if we start to see diminishing volume, that could be our signals to get back into XRP, and that could be the continuation of a larger degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in my opinion, this could be the beginning or is a really good contender for a continuation to the upside. So this is why I believe XRP still has massive potential, ladies and gentlemen, even based on my conservative targets. If you haven't watched this video thoroughly, please go back and rewind this video. I think it's very important to also kind of recap in terms of how we can measure the targets, because we do have two vastly ranging wild target ideas for this XRP idea. So hopefully that was helpful, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you guys in the next video with more updates. Again, if you haven't joined my X-Force Discord membership, please do not hesitate to contact me. The link is in the description below. If you're not following me on social media at X, please do give me a follow there as well. Come say hi at X-Force Global. I do a lot of my daily updates there as well. Great engagement, a lot of great people on there as well. So please give me a follow there as well. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, please also do subscribe to this channel and also give me a like. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic, great rest of the weekend. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.